There is an oil in your kitchen cabinet right now. Your doctor has recommended it. The nutrition label calls it heart healthy. And every time you heat it up, it creates oxidizing molecules that are silently destroying your cell membranes from the inside. This is not about the oil you know is bad. This is about the oil you actively switched to because you thought it was healthier. Canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil. The very things that are taking over the kitchen shelves of almost every American family and are certified by the exact medical organizations you trust the most. The problem is not that they contain saturated fat. The problem is what happens to their molecules when exposed to heat. And the bigger problem is what happens after you eat them, inside your cell membranes, over months and years of accumulation. You do not eat this oil once, and then you are done. You eat it every single day, in every restaurant meal, in everything that is processed. And unlike sugar, which is something your body can burn and expel, the linoleic acid in these oils is integrated right into your cellular structure. It stays. In the next 11 minutes, we are going to decode exactly what happens inside your cell membranes after every meal containing vegetable oil. Why the heart-healthy recommendation was built on a study that even its own author later rejected, and the 3 steps to start reversing that accumulation. Let us decode this. Every cell in your body is enclosed by a membrane. That membrane is not rigid, it is flexible, permeable, and it is built from exactly what you eat. It is the construction contract that your body signs with your diet every day. And over the past few decades, the building materials have changed without anyone notifying your cells. There are 3 characters in this story. The first character is linoleic acid, the omega-6 fatty acid that dominates vegetable oils, the unstable building material that your body is forced to use because it has no other choice. The second character is lipid peroxidation, which is the oxidation process that occurs when linoleic acid in the cell membrane is exposed to heat and free radicals. And the third character is 4-HNE, the toxic aldehyde created from that process, the real cause of inflammation that no cholesterol test ever measures. What most people do not know is that the recommendation for heart-healthy vegetable oil was not built on evidence of reducing heart disease. It was built on evidence of lowering LDL cholesterol. And those are 2 completely different things. We will get to that. But this is where the biology gets uncomfortable. Your cell membrane is not made from a fixed material. It is made of phospholipids, and the fatty acid composition of those phospholipids directly reflects what you have eaten over the past 600 to 700 days. When you eat omega-3 fatty acids from fish or from grass-fed animal meat, your cell membranes are built with stable, oxidation-resistant material. When you eat linoleic acid from vegetable oils, your cell membranes are built with unstable material that is much more prone to oxidation when exposed to heat, light, and free radicals. A study from the University of California analyzed the fat tissue of Americans from 1959 to 2008. The linoleic acid content in fat tissue increased by more than 136% during that period, directly reflecting the increase in vegetable oil consumption over the same time frame. Imagine a contractor building your house walls with 2 types of materials. The first type is fired brick, which is hard, stable, and heat-resistant. The second type is unfired brick, which is cheaper and lighter, but starts to decompose when exposed to high temperatures. Over the past few decades, your contractor has gradually replaced the fired bricks with unfired bricks, and the wall still stands, still looks normal, until conditions change. But integration into the cell membrane is only the first step, because what happens to those molecules when you heat the oil is where the real toxic byproduct is created. Linoleic acid is unstable at high temperatures. When you heat vegetable oil to normal cooking temperatures, which is around 356 to 392 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 180 to 200 degrees Celsius, the double bonds in the linoleic acid molecule begin to break down. That process creates a series of oxidative compounds. The most dangerous among them is 4-hydroxynonenal, or 4-HNE for short. This is a highly reactive aldehyde that has the ability to bind with proteins, DNA, and phospholipids in your body, triggering a chain reaction of inflammation at the cellular level. A study from the University of the Basque Country measured the level of 4-HNE in vegetable oil after heating it at normal frying temperatures. After 30 minutes, the concentration of 4-HNE exceeded the toxic threshold established in animal studies. And this is fresh oil that has not been reused. Restaurants reuse that oil multiple times. This is the signal that most people miss. You are not just eating linoleic acid. You are eating the oxidized product of linoleic acid after it has been altered by heat. And those products are not filtered out. They are absorbed. They enter your circulation. And they find their way to the cell membranes, where the unoxidized linoleic acid has already accumulated, and continue the chain reaction from the inside. Now, this is where the story of heart-healthy vegetable oil truly collapses, because the foundation of that recommendation is much weaker than you think. In 1961, a physiologist named Ansel Keys published the 7 countries study, a study claiming to find a link between saturated fat, cholesterol, and heart disease. That study became the foundation for the American Heart Association's recommendation to replace animal fat with vegetable oil. What most people do not know is that Keys had data from 22 countries. He chose 7 countries that fit his hypothesis and discarded the remaining 15 countries. When later researchers analyzed all 22 countries, the link disappeared. In 2016, an analysis from the British Medical Journal published hidden data from the Minnesota coronary experiment conducted in the 1960s, showing that the group that replaced animal fat with vegetable oil had a higher mortality rate from heart disease than the control group. This data was not published for over 40 years. Their LDL cholesterol dropped, but they died more. This is the difference that the entire nutritional recommendation has ignored for 5 decades. Lowering LDL does not equate to reducing heart disease, and increasing the consumption of linoleic acid, even though it lowers LDL, creates an oxidative environment inside the cell membrane that low LDL cannot compensate for. So now that you understand why your body is paying the price for a recommendation built on incomplete data, here is how you start changing your building materials. Linoleic acid in your cell membranes does not disappear overnight. Its half-life in fat tissue is about 680 days. But the replacement process begins as soon as you change your input materials. Step 1. Replace your cooking oils. For high temperatures such as stir-frying, deep-frying, or grilling, only use heat-stable saturated fats like beef tallow, lard, coconut oil, or butter. These fats do not have double bonds to be oxidized. They are stable at normal cooking temperatures. This is not an opinion. This is the basic chemistry of molecular structure. Step 2. Read labels with a single criterion. More than 80% of the vegetable oil amount in the American diet comes from processed foods and restaurants, not from the oil you use at home yourself. When reading food labels, look for one of these words in the ingredient list: canola oil, soybean oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, or cottonseed oil. If one of them appears in the top 5 ingredients, it is the primary source of linoleic acid in that meal. Step 3. Provide stable building materials. Cell membranes are constantly being rebuilt. When you increase the supply of EPA and DHA, which are long-chain omega-3s from fatty fish or high-quality supplements, the body begins to prioritize them over linoleic acid when building new membrane phospholipids. The goal is at least 0.07 ounces, which is about 2 grams, of EPA plus DHA per day. Not omega-3 from flax seeds, because ALA does not convert efficiently. You need EPA and DHA directly from fish or algae. Now you have the translation. Comment decode below and let me know what kind of oil you are using for cooking. I will read and reply. If you have already switched to animal fat or coconut oil, comment switched and let me know what changes you have noticed. The contractor building your cell membranes does not just work with fats. There is a second molecule that it needs to complete that protective layer. And when that molecule is deficient, even the best omega-3 cannot do its job properly. That molecule is something that 68% of Americans do not get enough of, and your doctor is measuring it with an index that's 30 years out of date. That is the next decode.